friends, let's take a look at Ethereum together. Ethereum versus the ETHUSD and Ethereum versus the BTC. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. My name's Rocky Outcrop. I do this every day, every Monday to Friday anyway at the minute, and I really do appreciate you tuning in. Okay, so let's take a look at the charts. Thank you so much. This is the 1 hour that I have up at the minute. I don't know if there's much value in looking at this other than to say that if you look between these points here, if I just take out a trend line, in fact, instead and kind of stick it on here, in fact, starting all the way over there on the 24th of September, coming over to where we are now, you can see there's a downward slope on here, and it's been respected several times. Now, does that mean that we can't come up and try it again? Of course it doesn't. And if it doesn't mean that we could come up and try it again. And it doesn't mean if we come up and try it again, could we do other things along the lines of perhaps coming in here and putting a higher high at the same time as coming up? Perhaps we could. And there's a reason for that, which is kind of given, a little bit of weight by the fact that there's also this sort of hidden bullish divergence. If you look at these lows over here, well, the lows have been coming lower and they've actually been putting in higher lows overall. So this ultimate lower low over here is really dictating in terms of the 1 hour, right? So this is small time stuff here. But if we're looking at this, we've come down, we've been into the bearish control zone, and so far kind of, we rejected from it on our first pass and our second pass as well, perhaps depending on how you look at it, and then and where you've got it positioned. And then we've come on up again, and we have gone above the moving average here and moving towards the top side, going past the neutral line on this thing. So that's interesting. But, and that gives us, a little bit of a cooling off of the oscillators, which means that we could, perhaps push on past it and blow on up towards the top side. But it also does position us yet again further away from the previous highs as we look along this chain. Will we see a turnaround? This is our warning sign for us all over here. What we actually have at the minute is a cross in terms of the 1 hour time frame on the DMI, while we're above the 20 area, but we're below it. This is the orange area, so it's sort of, I'd be sort of less enthusiastic about this cross here on this time frame, and perhaps we can see this cross back over again or enter chop or whatever. And if I jump up towards the 4 hour time frame, what you can see is that the chop sort of phase has begun here, with it dropping down below 20, and that's in the face of this upward trend. So what you have here is a bearishly divergent upward trend on the 4 hour time frames as well, and giving you the good case to be made for putting in a rising wedge here on the charts, which I'll just actually go ahead and do right now for us. So we could even start it off down there, I suppose, as well, if you like, but we could also just start it here. It doesn't really particularly matter how you draw in. There's this chance of this being the case at the minute, in which case we could be looking at whether or not we actually breach down past this area. But hiding all of the drawings on there and not getting rid of some of the mess and just kind of establishing what's going on, we have the death cross on the 4 hour time frame back over here with the 50 simple crossing over the 200 simple. We've come down, tested it, broken down below the 50, broken back up above the 50, and we've tested the 200 simple as well along the way here, but we might come in here and try that over again and perhaps fail at that point from doing so. And right here on the 24 hour time frame, you can see that we're above the 200 simple. Sure we are, because we had this golden cross over here. We retested the 50 several times along the way, then we broke down below the 50, and we haven't tested that 200 simple yet. Could it happen? Yes, it could. Are we in an upward trend on this thing? Well, actually, since the 1st of September, we're on a downward trend in terms of this time frame, and in terms of this movement here, and you can see that this low here was lower than the previous low, and looking at the RSI, it is actually not bullishly divergent. The Stochastics has a touch of bullish divergence on it, and so does the MACD, which gives us a glimmer of hope there, I suppose, from the bullish case scenario, while we have this strength of trend not really showing in terms of the DMI currently, with what is perhaps a degree of bullish divergence just showing there, just ever so slightly on this DMI. But this is just all what you would expect in a sense when you're in and around key areas such as, of course, the 236 here at $351 is there on the Ethereum prices. Now, $351 is going to be our key risk management area for us. So being above this, of course, is good. Looking at these two and seeing that they haven't crossed the 21 and the, I forgot to talk about the monthly close on Bitcoin. Cool. Well, I dragged the episode out just for like 15 minutes to get a Tom Petty song to play in the background. That's the reason why it lasted that long, and the music was distracting me away from talking about what I really wanted to talk about. Okay, so I'll tell you that I'll do that in this episode then. What we have here is the 21 and the 55. Are they going to cross? That'll give us an indication as well of how things are going. And of course, that'll happen at around about whether or not, we get supported by and move up towards the 382 or indeed break down below the 236 here. So there's your confluence and the potential, pardon me, sort of rising wedge that we have on the go here as well. Maybe just draw it in using the bodies instead of whatever. It doesn't really matter. Use whatever. I mean, it's a channel. Okay, as well. Except we know that that's a channel which is happening well on the smaller time frames. We have the divergence here happening, which makes you think, well, okay, so is it really a channel or is it more like one of these where we have wedgie type formations happening? So you can look out for that yourself, I suppose, in terms of your own technical analysis for this thing. But let's dive on up the way towards the bigger time frames, and then I'll jump over to Bitcoin and do a real quick look at that in terms of the bigger time frame. So starting off here, looking at the weekly, I'll hide all the drawings just so we can see what's going on. Well, we're being supported by the 21 exponential moving average here on the weekly. In terms of the low term time frame ones, if you look at something like a 10, it doesn't really matter, but you can see that we're right here on it as well. So any movements down below that, let's just actually change this to 9 as well, so you can see that we're actually just breaking down at the minute with this doji candle. So you can get the impression that if this week goes south for us, it's very, very bad in terms of a short-term perspective. Just looking back the way, you can see the interaction here with this moving average and how that's important on the weekly time frame. Of course you can, and then like what to look for in terms of how this week could go. So I'll just stick that back on 21 anyway, and you can see that we've had a test of that though, and that's positive. But we could still see the prices come back down to $300 again without if we do break down below this area that we're at the minute at the 351 on the weekly time frame. So that's important, right? As we come to the end of the month, though, the monthly is important too. And what do you have here? Well, if we do break down below 351 and go into the 340s, the low 340s, if we go to 340 by the day after tomorrow, we'll have a bearishly engulfing candle on the monthly time frame. And we have got a higher high over here on the monthly. This is the BitMEX chart, so we actually have to go looking over here at the Coinbase chart to get a bit more history here on this asset. And things are looking, fairly good actually, really, in terms of this, in terms of the broader picture. So this is like from the perspective of, can we get into a big bull run for the next 18 months? Sure, we can. Looking at this, we came all the way down here towards these lows over there at $90 or whatever. We came in and put in a higher low and higher lows and then higher highs along the way. So this is a high here, and this you could have thought was a lower high, I suppose, at 236 compared to the high that we had over there at $300. But really, this is just as forming the next higher low, right? That's all this is really doing, as we then move on up the way, and we've now formed a higher high. But from the sort of broader term, let's be realistic, sort of let's keep our knickers on sort of point of view, even movements down towards 286 aren't even taking out the highs of the body closes over here on June the 9th, 2019, and we don't have a lower low until the prices have moved below $140, offering up a lot of room for maneuver. And in terms of this moving averages that we have here, the 21 EMA coming in there at $250 does certainly align with what we're seeing in terms of smaller term time frame things. Now we have as well this pitchfork on the go. Of course, this is the monthly time frame, but just looking down the way, you can see $300 coming in there towards the lower end of it. Currently, and movements on beyond that would go towards the extension area of 250. If I were to just draw on a quick extension for us so you can see what I'm talking about real quick, this one, and then I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin again, so really be aware. I'll look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin as well in this episode, but there's your extension and there's your targets down there towards 250 should we push on down past it. Key areas, of course, where we are right now at 350, 352, you want to call it, and also towards the top side, the next really, really, really crucial area is going to be 393, and anything in between is just kind of finding our feet one way or the other. Let's take a look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin just real quick, so that people who are only interested in Ethereum don't have to watch me talk about Bitcoin, but seriously, you should probably look at both. Let's see in terms of the monthly time. Well, screw it. Actually, the dollar prices will do us for that one. It's the same scenario chatario Was this lower? Or was that an equal low? It was an equal low, but it was still bullishly divergent. So that was a pretty good monthly low that we had back then. Of course, we all know all about it. And then we put in higher highs and higher lows ever since. The weekly time frame, we're still questioning about whether or not we get this head and shoulders, which is kind of visible-ish on that time frame as well, in and around this key zone area. But what have we got? Hide the drawings for a second. Is this a rounding off of the top here? It looks like a bit of a roundy top, where it kind of fallen over. We want to see the 144 exponential moving average be respected here on the weekly time frame, and of course the 21 EMA as well. Between these two is going to be key areas for us. Going down towards the 24-hour time frame then, you can see that we're below the 21 and the 55, but we see these cross down the way. It's the same chart that I had earlier on versus the dollar. And looking at this is our previous low, which is of course not bullishly divergent on any of the oscillators down below, apart from perhaps the MACD. Actually, that's got a touch of it. But the other ones are all looking like they're pretty much okay in terms of this low here as part of this downward trend, which, let's face it, we've been in since the 1st of September. And taking that out there at 0.031 is going to be significant for us. We're already up here at 0.033. And moving up towards the top side, we really need to see 3.5 taken out, and the 50 simple moving average, of course, in a in a big accordion with that one. And what about this movement towards the top side in the 4-hour time frame? What do we see here? Well, the last two highs in it have been bearishly divergent. Sure, they have. There's a potential for this to be considered to be sort of hidden bullish divergence, but it's not showing up on any of the other oscillators down below. And we have a snaky dakey wakey round area here of the positive trend, and the negative trend, the DI positive and negative. We're in chop at the minute, so I trade for chop is essentially what I'm saying as well on the other side of things. I have to look towards the bigger targets as well to be avoiding that, so I'm trading for chop at the minute, as you know. But we've come down here and look at this, we're below 15 on the ADX line of this thing, and that means that there could be some volatility coming in here pretty soon. I would look out for that myself over the period of the next day to week. And let's go over to the Bitcoin prices and take a look at things on the monthly time frame, because I really did want to talk about this during the Bitcoin episode, but I forgot. And if we see here, what we have is the dynamic on the go, where the CMEs are putting in what is just a lower high essentially with regards to this so far. It's certainly not a higher high anyway compared to our highs in June, whereas the spot prices are doing the opposite, where we have a higher high than June. If we see the prices moving down any further than 750, which is what we've been talking about and where the prices are currently, then of course we're talking about having put in not a higher high against the spot prices. That's the key area to be looking out for. That's why I was talking about that as being so key on Bitcoin. I hope that you see that there as being very obvious and quite clear. It should be, with this high over here compared to this high being very much bearishly divergent on the RSI and the MACD and the DMI, not the stochastics, but there is still time left for this to turn around slightly, with this month having come in here and perhaps shy away. But even though it's just a day, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But it looks like we'll get convergence on the stochastics. But 3/4 of the oscillators I got down below are showing that bearish divergence. Things are not looking that great until such times as we see really the breaking up past 12,500, 12,700 area. Really 12,500, let's call it for brevity's sake. Okay, so that's really important. I'm glad that I got that out there, even if it is part of the Ethereum episode. And I'm going to move on and do the other ones for today. So there's a lot of value in these episodes. Okay, so if you've just found out about the Rocky Outcrop channel for the first time today, and you're only just realizing that we've got 100% quality technical analysis, then hit that subscribe button down there, and then tell your friends by hitting the share button and letting them know about it, because this is the place to be for the best quality technical analysis on YouTube. I really do appreciate every single last one of you for tuning in, and that's why I'm running a little Bitcoin giveaway, where I give away 10 Satoshis for every view that the channel gets in the month of September. To enter it, all you have to do is say Rocky You Rock in the comments down below and across any of the videos during the month of September. So the more times you say it, the more entries you get into the competition. It's a little sort of raffle style thing. I'll draw the winner out tomorrow, whether that's before or after filming the video, I'm not sure, not decided yet, but you'll know the winner in the next day or two. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you tune in again on the 30th of September and the 1st of October for that information, because it could be you. And then I'm going to put a little time limit on there as well, because I'll just choose a subsequent winner the next day if the winner who who I announce doesn't claim the prize that day, then I'll pick a new winner, and unfortunately that winner will miss out on that prize. Again, if they don't claim it, it's going to roll over to the next person who said Rocky You Rock, and I'm going to give that prize away to the first person who claims it, who actually gets it. So I expect the first person who wins it will get it, but that's how we'll run that one. I'll catch you next time. Hit that subscribe button, really do appreciate it. I'll see you again soon.